Welcome, ladies. Welcome to the Find Your Force virtual event. This is where we help you unleash your feminine energy so that you can launch your independent business and create a life with freedom while having fun. I'm your host, Joyce van der Lely, and today from Malmo in Sweden, we have Maria Appelqvist. Maria, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for inviting me, Joyce. I'm so happy to be here.
It's really nice that you made some time to be here with us. Now, Maria is a leadership breakthrough coach. She has been a pioneer in Sweden, bringing the coaching world to Sweden. Can you explain a little bit what your background is, Maria, and how you came to the coaching?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to. So my background is I've been in the academia for 20 plus years. I'm a doctor in sociology. And you know how it is in academia, it's a very boxed word.
Yeah.
It's operating from the masculine, right?
Yes, yes.
There's no room for the feminine in that word. And I was I'm actually from the very north of Sweden, and I moved to southern Sweden. At that time, I was actually one of the migration experts in Europe. And Malmö, as a very multicultural city with a high rate of immigration, it was for me like a political statement. Moving there, meaning I'm in the middle, in the context of where the heat happens, and Malmö as a city has to really understand integration and how to receive refugees. And that brought me into different kind of research projects where I had this assignment and also the privilege to, over 3 years' time of framework, following them. And I met leaders in many positions, from the top leaders, like I would say the general director, I don't know if that is the English name, but those who are in the top management of the authority, down to municipal level, where we have civil servants, but also local politicians that were founding the projects, to more the people that were employed in taking care of and actually meeting the target group, the refugees that were having projects for. So I was following these projects on these different levels, and I saw them in different contexts, and there was something profound I learned. And that experience took me into the area of coaching first, and I didn't understand it at that time, but the conclusion come later, after going into coaching, opening up for a whole new paradigm of understanding myself, but also my surroundings. So the first thing I learned is that people have to learn from their own experiences. You can't tell people what to do. They have to be taking into experiences. They have to experience it themselves and get the personal experience, and then they are ready to transform, to change. So I couldn't, as an expert, say this is how they've been doing, take a look at the project there. They didn't understand it. They had to go through and reinvent the wheel over and over again. So that was the first thing. And another thing was that leaders, even though they were having leaders position, they were not taking a responsibility, because we are here in this group and we making decisions. First, they didn't know how are we handling these groups, but then how do you take this decision home to your own organization and implement it? And I realized this is about personal leadership and people acting within their framework of what's possible for them. So I understood there is something happening when people, they don't know how to move from A to B in a transition way, where they have people being with them instead of being in conflict with them. So that was what I experiencing in these groups, where a lot of conflicts, they didn't know how to handle meetings. It was all this very mismatch. And so in some way, and I think it was actually I saw a consultant once who one of the groups were bringing in, and the project leader said, Maria, you have to come to this meeting because we're bringing in an expert and it's costing us a fortune, but this will be like either we will survive or we will die with this meeting. And I came there, this woman, she started with actually what you're doing, helping people bringing out creativity.
Yeah.
She had them write or draw pictures of people they were inspired by.
Yeah.
And then they were putting it up on the wall, and they were doing like a tour and talking about it.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, wow, this woman is doing something that is a total new experience to me. I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
But somehow she managed them. So in the beginning of the day, they were like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah. I don't want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You forced me to be here. In the final end of the day, they were like a family.
Yeah.
We are doing this together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So they were, she had made something happen, and it was in the search of what she had, because I realized I don't understand it, but she has something I don't have, and I want to have it as well.
Okay. Yeah. So that is your start. And then how did you come to specialize in the area that you're working in now, that you combine sexuality and money? Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I started with my coaching training, and I you know how it is. If you're starting your journey on personal development, at that time, I didn't see it as I was starting I was doing this for my own pleasure. I was taking the next training to get new tools, to learn more things. And of course, I started a business in order to start work with people one-to-one. But I wasn't in the game of making a business, if you can see what I'm meaning, because I was having my job as a university professor. I was sort of happy with what I'm doing, because I never wanted to have a new job, right? I wanted to make an impact in the world. So I was just continuing those moments of what's the next training, where do I go next? And then I had a dream. And my dream, that was to buy a new home, a penthouse. I had this dream of a penthouse. And I'm single, and the bank told me that this is too expensive for you. You can't do it. And I was very determined, and I was thinking, actually creating the space for this and taking the leap into this will make my business follow, because now I have to make more money in my business, right?
Yeah.
So I took a decision, and I managed to convince the woman in the bank and to give me the mortgage, and I designed my dream apartment. Yeah. Like I was building it totally, because it was built on the top of an old building in Malmö. And I designed it actually how I wanted. It was very high in the roof. It was wonderful, delicious.
Yeah, your dream house.
Yes, it was my dream I was building. And I had this dream for such a long time. So it was really, it was a sort of important moment. But at the same time, when I bought this, the interest went up. And I couldn't sell my old apartment. So I came to a situation when I was actually moving in. I haven't sold yet my old apartment. The interest had gone up, and I had moved in December. This was the first week in December. I didn't know how I was going to pay my expenses that same month. I had no clue. Yeah. And for me, that was a totally new experience. I had never been in the situation. I didn't know how to pay for my expenses. Yeah. Because I had put myself in that situation. So I was stuck in fear. I was like, yeah. And I was sitting there for, it was about a week. I was sitting in this fear, totally paralyzed and probably a hyperventilation or whatever I was doing, and paralyzed in this fear. And I was also meditating, and I was sitting on it. I went deep into it, and somehow, I don't know how it happened, but when one day I woke up and the fear was gone, it was nothing. It was empty. And the same day, one of my coaching colleagues, he called me and he told me, Maria, I just sold a leadership program. I have 37 clients. How many can you take? Yeah. And for me, that was the universe signal that when you let go of your fear, there is a response. For me, that was the signal. And basically, I don't think I have been afraid since then. Like I haven't been paralyzed by fear since that time, because it went so deep. And it was something like, after that, I had total faith. Yeah. So, but at the same time, I understood, obviously, I have a problem, like a financial problem, because I wouldn't have exposed myself to this situation. And I started to learn about Robert Kiyosaki. You heard of? Yes. Maybe I read his books. Also, there is a woman, she wrote this book. It has such a great title, Prince Charming Isn't Coming. Okay. She's writing for women, and she's becoming a lead symbol for women. I started to follow her, and I understood that I wasn't financially intelligent, that I didn't have the capacity to think around, like, to be smart and clever with money, basically. So I understood I am obviously having a problem. And at that time, I hired a coach, and this was a money coach. She was working with money in Sweden. I even remember I went to 3-day workshop with her. And the first day was so intense. I got totally sick. My whole physical system was just checking out. I couldn't come back to day 2. And that was because I couldn't handle the tension, the energy, that tension, that money conversation, and being in that pain around money, it caused me something physically. Yeah. And that's why I was so ill. And it wasn't until a couple of years later I finally understood it, when I had been into the area of sexuality, like I understood the connection here. But from that experience, I'm started to continue educating myself around money. I became a money breakthrough coach, working with finding your sacred money archetype with Ken Summerhawk. Yes. And by that, I became more like clever. I understood there is 7 different archetypes. Yeah. Around money, and my archetype around money is actually someone who doesn't care about money. And so the more I learned about my archetype, the more I also understood, it makes so much sense. And I started also to become curious on what kind of archetypes has women who are in business. Yeah. What do they have actually? Because I learned that some archetypes, like a ruler, for instance, they are very organized and structured. So they have, and I also realized that when I was in these events with Kendall, and she was asking questions like, how many rulers do we have in the room? And, half of the room raising their hand, and then how many romantics? I'm romantic. How many romantics do we have? And it was me and another person. Yeah. We were 2, like in a room of 100 people, we were 2. And I realized, I'm unusual in some way. But I still didn't understand what's really lies in the characteristic of the romantic archetype. So I went for more search on that. And the romantics is all about sensuality and beauty, and which means they want to indulge themselves in pleasure. And so in some way, like when I fully understand the whole like the whole picture of what a romantic is, then it became so, like, I just understood, like, now I understand why I've been into the area of sexuality, and this become very important to me. So it was just a gradually personal development. So with this, after this money, I think I came to a point where I was looking for what's the next edge for me, what's the next edge, where do I go next?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the coaches I was following at that time, she had this status on her Facebook. I was looking for the next edge, and she was actually saying, what's the next edge for the coaching industry? Come to a promo call with One Taste before their slow sex coaching program. And I was like, I was intrigued, I have to be on it. I have to be there. And when I came into that teleclass, it was again like this kind of whole experience again happened to me. People that were on the line, they were talking about sensations in their physical body. So right now I'm having the shivering. I can feel it in the upper part of my arms.
Yes.
It's like a shivering. They could speak in that way about what they were feeling, about their sensations in their body. And I didn't even have word for being such expressive how I felt in Swedish. I couldn't. And so here I was in, like, it was like a whole new window open up for me. It was really possible to be able to feel when you're understanding your sensations. So then I, of course, went on a search for learning more about sensations. And I started the slow sex coaching program, and I was the first orgasmic meditation trainer educated living in Europe. So I was in the first program. One Taste have now, like, from that little, they were in San Francisco, like, it was a little bunch of people, became a huge organizations. They exist all over the world. And that's the power of orgasm. And I remember that is like how in that first sales conversation I was having, because in that moment, being on that teleclass, I remembered, wow, this woman from One Taste, Alicia was her name, she made me buy into it. Like, she made me do a huge investment, but she was doing it from a place of where I was slothing, I was turned on, it was fun. Like, I was in that energy of real turn on, and I was making a huge investment. But still, it was just really, really fun. And for me, I thought, if I can just have like a 10% of that capacity to really enroll people into my program, then my business must be like really flourishing. So I went in there, and that was like a whole other journey. And on the other side of coming out of that, I realized, the connection between money. And I could actually finally start work with my own, I call it money shit. I had like, because I could now stay and be present with that pain that was there. Because being able to cultivate my sexual energy to that level made it also possible for handle other pain in my life. And that's why I'm saying that sexual energy is so important, because it's it impacts you in your physicality, but you might not see it or understand even that this is toxic energy that is running your body. And it takes expression as you're being super frustrated or angry. And basically it's an expression of a toxic sexual energy that haven't being fulfilled and being fed.
Wow. Wow. Because now you create big breakthroughs by connecting the sexuality and the power and the money, right?
Yes.
So you created your own program now called Desire, is that correct?
Yes, I'm calling it my Desire method.
Yeah.
Is the way how to find your doorway in, and desire is an acronym, but it's also the desire is really representing debate, like and I think this is the feminine. Like a lot of women are disconnected from their desires. There is a block, like so and I've been learning that feeling, how it feels in the practice of orgasm. It's like sometimes it's like this, you know, you're having a lid here, and under there is feeling, there is sensations.
Yes.
But the lid is covering the sensations. And I can feel how so the orgasmic meditation is a practice. It's actually someone is stroking you on your clitoris for 15 minutes. So if you imagine you're having a lid and you're feeling a finger, you're feeling something, but you're numb. You feel you're numb. And you're feeling the sensations under, and you feel you can't hit through the sensation. And like that kind of feeling, a lot of women are actually walking around with in the daily life, because they are disconnected from their self. That's what I learned. So and that's why it becomes difficult to also express what you want in different situations. And also, again, like depending on who you're, so there's 3 different kind of sexual energy types. So depending on what kind of sexual personality type you have, you're actually acting out this in different ways. So while some might be frustrated, other might think and analyze, and they go to their head and they are judging, or other are basically checking out, like the person I was checking out. They get overwhelmed, they run away, and it's the same kind of intensity is how you're handling this energy. So what happens when I started to do this practice of orgasmic meditation was that I taught my system, my physical system was cultivated into becoming like strong and be able to hold. So instead of checking out, being overwhelmed, I could stay and be present and communicate and be present with that.
So wow. So you have incorporated this now into your program so that you can actually find why these women that you work with have lost the connection with that energy, right?
It is, but you know, this is the tricky thing, is because most women like how do you know that you lost it?
No, well, that's
or how do you know that you even like, this is the trick, right? So I have a 30 days course. I call it 30 days to flirting, because flirting is really tapping into that feminine energy, and also starting to play with it. So every week we go into a new area, what it means to embrace your feminine. And so flirting comes the last week, which is really, now I found my feminine. Now I start to direct it outward to the word, and I like being there and seeing the word and flirting. Then you can flirt with money. That's the next step. But anyhow, is that and this is the tricky thing, because most women that come in here, they come because they that longing or curiosity, they're longing for something they don't know what it is, or but what they actually find is a new consciousness of their own femininity. So they become conscious of, oh, this is my feminine energy, and this is my masculine energy, and as you're saying, that what happens in our lives is that women, as women, having a job, being out doing career, we are much more in an overdriven masculine energy.
Yeah.
And that means we have lost connection to our feminine. We might even judge it or devalue it as not good because it's not effective.
Well, it's also because society has these prejudices about it, of course. Yeah.
Exactly. In our society, we're living in a society that are appreciative of the masculine. So at the same way, we as women have become overdriven in our masculine. The men we attract in, of course, they in some way they need to find a way to match that, and that means they're cultivating their feminine. Yeah. Which is great because they're cultivating their feminine. But from a relationship point of view, in some way, something might happen because he feels that he is not. And this is again subtle because I don't think men is actually walking around and thinking about it. But when I'm speaking about this to men or to women, all men are saying, "Oh, now I understand why we had a divorce. Yeah, I never felt like a man with her. My new woman, she makes me feel like a man." Yeah. So there is something that happens here in that reversion. Because she is so driven at work, and when she come home, she also become the project leader for the family and kids and everything. And he's losing, and she don't know how to direct him, so he can help her. Instead she gets angry because he's hiding or resting in front of the television because that's his way of just taking a break because he has no direction. Right. So and that's why a woman who knows who she is and is in her power, she can also understand how to direct her husband. And I think this is so interesting because I was married once. I have a son, and I had a beautiful husband. I have to say, we met when I was very young. I was 16, 17 years old, but I divorced when I was 27 because I didn't know better. And if I have had all the tools I have today, I would probably never have divorced. But I didn't know better, and when a passion, because I was basically walking around and longing for something more, but I didn't know what it was. Now I can see that what I was longing for was the connection to myself. And at that time I didn't love myself, and of course I couldn't love my husband. I couldn't. So if you don't love yourself, how can you love someone else? So there came a passion in my life, and that passion was very passionate, and I did what I thought you're supposed to do. So I divorced, and I created a new life with that passion. So it was in some way, I can today, when I'm looking back, see that, this has impacted my life in ways. And of course, if I didn't divorce him, I wouldn't have become the person I am today. I would have become a kind of
that's always the case, right? We experience certain things, and they change the trajectory of our lives, and they change who we will become.
Exactly.
So Maria, what would you say to women that are watching or listening and think they want to start a business for themselves and are a little bit hesitant because they do not want to take over the position of the male figure in the family, for instance? If they have a partner, what would you say if a woman wants to start her own business but there is a partner involved? To keep that healthy, that relationship healthy and going, what would you suggest?
Well, here's the thing. I'm actually just finalized. I'm coming out with a book with couples that created conscious love, and that's what I'm all about. So I'm saying if you in a relationship and you want to create a company, and a business, have your own business, in some way, as being a relationship, you have to see it as your child. Like, it's something you're having in common. So in a way, how you can enroll your partner into that, so it becomes in some way also his project.
Yes.
And that can take many different kind of directions. It can be like, he's practically helping you with rearranging things in a new office space, for instance. Building something. Or it could actually be that, but really knowing that he's there for you as an emotional support is super important. I think one of the major reasons why women doesn't succeed in business is they're in a toxic relationship. They're in a relationship that doesn't support them in their endeavors of creating a business. So that's the first thing, is you have to have your partner being on board with you and you're feeling the support in that. That's the first most important thing. And I heard also couples saying where he is having a business, that for the whole family, like the wife, the children, it's what they're saying is that this is one of our children, that the company is one of our children. We have to treat it as one of the children. It's as important. So when the children are complaining you're not home, but that is because this is also someone I need to spend time with. So it's something about making it part of the family, like it becomes a family project. I think that's important. And I think even though it's important to make distinctions between your leisure time and your working time, I do think for women it's probably more important than men to feel that you're actually having a business where you're feeling you're doing something that is aligned with you, so it doesn't feel like a work. You're doing it actually for your own pleasure. Like, so when you're doing this work, it doesn't feel like work. True. And I think that's a huge difference also when women create business compared to men, is that for women it's much more something about it. This is just an expression of my life energy.
And you find that as well when you work with your clients, to find the essence, to find that power within. That is the essence. Yeah,
exactly. Because we all have this essence, and there's different ways of getting closer into what it is. Like my own mentor is one of the leading in what it means. And for me, this is the feminine way of creating business. It's a new way. I call it a new way. That's a title for a book. There's a new way and an old way how to make business. The old way, you push hard. You're very much in the masculine energy. Push hard. You hard selling, you're seeing others and competitors, it's really harsh. The new way is you're doing what's joyful. Everything is supposed to be joy. If it's not joyful, you're doing it the wrong way. Then you have to find the right way. And that's, for me, that's really about your essence. And I'm working with it from, your financial archetype, knowing who you are in wealth dynamics. I included numerology as inspiration, understanding who you are in numerology. It's also something about seeing how, like, I'm tapping into everything. Like now, even seeing like, products. Are products aligned with my essence? So you can take, and so that's the intuitive, that's the more mysterious, the feminine, creating business. And I love that, because it's a totally different kind of expressions. And I'm now seeing how some women entrepreneurs who really are demonstrating that in their business are really creating great success, and that's so inspiring to.
So from talking to you, Maria, it sounds like you're very curious and you will forever keep learning more, and developing your work and growing in your business. So you also said that you are writing a book.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, because that's the second book, is it?
Yes, I have some books in my pipeline. So I wrote one book in Swedish a couple of years ago, and then I learned something. If you don't know how to be masterful when it comes to marketing, don't write more books, because it's
okay. Yes.
But okay. Today we also know that books is something about extension of your business card, because today everybody can write a book and become a publisher. But it's sort of kind of game. How do you become a bestseller on Amazon? But it's all strategies to follow, right?
But so, this book that you're writing now is in English.
I'm writing now. Yeah. So this is alignment. So I'm building a platform for conscious women and men.
Yes.
Who wants to learn about what does it mean to truly connect, communicate. So I identified the different kind of tools you need to have, but most people don't have awareness around it. So I'm creating a platform for women and men who wants to learn that. How do you create intimacy and connection? What does it mean? So really being able to be in a community where you can grow in this. So as a part of that, I'm interviewing conscious couples.
Yes.
So they are the leading star in some sort of ways. So they are conscious couples. They have come together.
Yes.
As a part of coming together, they have boosted their business to the next level.
Yes.
Just from we're meeting and then taking it to the next level. So they become in some way a leading star and for what conscious love means.
Yes.
And I'm having the conversation with them and asking them basically the same kind of questions, but it's about, how they were attracted, how they designed the life structures they're having, and so forth. And it's really fascinating. And one thing I'm learning is, and I think that's what usually don't happen in many relationships, I don't know, is that you don't know how to fight.
Yeah.
You don't know how to be in conflict.
Yeah.
and I think that this is the pattern.
So what you teach them that?
Well, yeah, it's a part of actually to be able to communicate in a respectful way.
Yeah.
It's super important. And I mean, through conflicts, you also grow together. And these couples, they have had enormously a lot of conflicts and fights together. But since they've been conscious, they haven't blamed the other. They have taken it on. So the relationship becomes my growth.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying that the next growth happens in relationships. Because there is a lot of women and men, just like myself, that have chosen to be independent. It wasn't like, it doesn't mean we have been without relationship. Maybe we have discovered many different kind and variations of relationships, but we have somehow choosing to be independent, taking our next growth, going on the next personal development. I took a pride on being single, and I could just continue my journey. I don't need it to take consideration to anybody at home. I've seen in so many leadership programs and courses, trainings I've been to, like when the pain comes, when you realize I'm connecting now to this group in a way I don't connect to my husband at home. Like in some way that happens, right? When you really in that intense programs, we're coming close together and you're realizing that I have a connection with these people here. I don't have this connection with my husband. Like, how do I make it happen? So I think there is a lot of women and men like me out there who have done their own growth, but they don't know where to find this person. And that's why I want to create a community for them, so they can come in and grow together, and the next growth happens in
very interesting. Yes So, I mean, you have so much information. It also comes because you're such a curious person and you keep filling your cup with more information. So yeah, you have so much to tell. I think that I could talk to you for another evening, probably, and we could fill a couple of shows. You also do talk on Swedish radio, don't you?
Yes, yeah, I'm one of the relationship expert in one of the Swedish private channels. So once a month I talk about relationships there.
Yeah,
it's super fun.
So you work with people in private, or in person, or do you also work with people online?
Yeah, of course. Most of my clients are long distance.
Yeah.
We work with, how it is. We have a Zoom conversation, or with some. We actually create a VIP day. So we have a day of transformation.
Yeah.
And then they either fly to me or we meet. I do also group program for.
Yes. So on this page, you will find the information to Maria's website, where you can find out everything that she does and what kind of work she does. And also, Maria, you have a gift for the audience, don't you?
I do have a gift, and the gift is actually it's a report.
Yeah.
So a report on what women really want.
Yes.
So it's actually more information on what women really want, and of course the deepest core of everything is our sexuality.
Yeah.
And so you really learn about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and base point is your homeostasis, and that's impacted by your sexual energy. So orgasm is the deepest desire. So in this report you can learn more about that, and you can find that one on your page, I think. But it's
there will be you will see a button underneath this video, and you can just click and it will take you there. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. This sounds amazing. Sounds really interesting. I love what you do, and that you connect the sexuality to the feminine power and the essence in business and in life. I think it is very important, and I think it is something that is often overlooked, or that people don't want to talk about much for different reasons. They hide, Yeah.
They don't want to talk about it, and in particular if business coaches don't want to talk about it, and that's why I think that's one of the most crucial questions.
Yeah.
Because how you handle your private, intimate relationships, how you handle your business.
Yeah. So I thank you very much for sharing this all with us, Maria. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm fascinated by learning more about what you do. So I'm definitely going to check out more things. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for having me.
And to the audience, thank you for tuning in today again and listening and watching this interview. Check your inbox tomorrow for more interviews in the Find Your Force interview series. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.